Since I was asked about tutoring, I thought I would explain. Well, tutoring and teaching. Everything all in one package. I give you everything right here. You don't even have to go to any other station. Just be right here, right now. Since I called it Why I Quit Teaching, I should say Why I Quit Teaching. It's going to be two parts. Why I quit tutoring, why I quit. Well, I wasn't really teaching, why I quit the pursuit of teaching. That's a good way to put it. Let's call it that. Now, in short, I quit tutoring because I got another job offer, and it was going back into tech, back to the tech companies. Long commute, not a fun commute, but really, really good pay, so I kind of had to go with that. The tutoring actually didn't pay that bad, but there was like not enough hours to really make it work. So, in short, that is the reason I quit tutoring. Although the reason I was looking for another tech job is the tutoring. It was rewarding in some ways, but it just didn't have enough hours, so that was the main problem. There's just enough hours to survive, to make it work. If I had 40 hours a week of tutoring, then yeah, although do I want 40 hours a week of tutoring? Nah, I don't know if that would have ever worked. And I had been doing it about 18 months. When I went into it, it was like, oh gosh, was it 2017 or something like that? I really wanted to kind of beef up my resume and get some more experience because I didn't have I was really looking for a teaching job, college level actually, maybe high school, but college. Didn't have a lot of experience aside from a year of teaching in grad school, freshman English, but that kind of been a ways away, or a long time ago, long time ago, so I wasn't able to really transfer that to directly into getting a job. So I figured tutoring, help get some experience. If I could teach some like high schoolers, that would probably be good. And that was actually, at first I did have some high school students, and then, I don't know, they disappeared. And next thing you know, they were asking, can you teach a little less, sixth graders? Like, I'm not really trained for that. Fifth graders, yeah, that's the same problem. And then eventually there's like one second grader, like, I don't have any training for this age level. And it does matter. It's not like you can train for college and all of a sudden, like anything below college, you're automatically equipped for. You have the right tools for. It's just a different skill set. I won't say it's like it's not a matter of better or less, if you can even say it that way. It's just a different skill set. So, it was just too hard to really to change into teaching that level. For the most part, I did. I think I made it work. Yeah, I had different students over the 18 months there. The ones that hung out the one that hung out the longest was probably the second grader who became a third grader, and he was a terror. I won't name names, but a terror. There was times where I just like I'm done. I'm checking out. I can't do this anymore. I said, this is my last lesson. I will never teach again. And months later, I'm still there because I finally figured out a way to reach, to interact. A lot of games, if you've seen my drawings, a lot of like drawing games and playing games. So that worked. So in the end, I think we got maybe like 35 minutes of teaching for an hour and then 25 minutes of just playtime, I guess. But again, wasn't really what I was trained for, not really what I want to do. In some ways, it was more babysitting. But again, okay, the 25 minutes of babysitting and 35 minutes of teaching. All right, but it wasn't my objective. The other students I had were... They just varied over the course of the time, but there was like I left a group of 3, and they were they walked all over me for the most part. I mean, but I'm not strict. I'm not a disciplinarian. I don't really raise my voice. That's not how I was trained. That kind of and I didn't have to do that for college, and I don't want to do that. I just don't like raising my voice at kids. They're not my kids. I'm not going to discipline them. It's just not my thing. And it worked. I mean, I did maybe once and. Voila, the kids were quiet. But they sensed that. In fact, as one group, during my last lesson, and I kind of had told them at the end, okay, this is it. I'm done. The first question, is our next teacher going to be more strict? Now, are we going to learn as much? Or is it going to be as engaging of learning? No, it's just, will it be a strict classroom? But okay, so I knew that did not come as a shock to me. So over the time, the students changed quite a lot. I think if you did it right and were trained for it and really passionate about it, hopefully the students wouldn't leave and you just get more and more and more students. But for me, it was like there was a turnover that just kept kind of happening, and I didn't mind. I kind of minded a little, but I mean, I would come in and teach one lesson, be ready for my second lesson, and then I'd say, "Where's the student?" Oh, the student's in a different class. That's a polite way of saying the student's got a different teacher now, a tutor now. All right, okay. You know what? This is not my goal. I can accept that, but at times I'm like, what? I did not want to quit on this student. I was staying loyal because I felt like I think I'm done, but I thought, nah, the student and the parents, I don't want to quit on them. They quit on me. Like, all right, fine. But I get a lot of that. I mean, it was, and some students did drop out of the school. They did different reasons, but a lot of them just went to a different teacher. So someone that probably had, but I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, actually, and it didn't for the most part. I don't think I ever asked if someone said, "Oh, that student's not here anymore," or "You don't have that student anymore." Okay, I don't even want to know. If this had been my long-term goal and something I want to do for life, then yeah, I want to know so I can improve. But I don't even know if I would blame myself for a lot of that. A lot of that. It's just, you want a different teacher? Fine. Yeah. And I told other students, like we had a class and we had one student less than actually 3 went to 2 or 4 went to 3 or something like that. And so where's that person? Oh, that person's not with us anymore. That person's dead to me. I didn't really mean that, but in some ways it's like, okay, all the papers, we get thrown away, everything that just no longer exist. And that's kind of the way you have to be. You have to be kind of in a way cold about it. So that was fine. Yeah, that student's dead to me now. You're dead to me. And I saw students that had kind of quit or moved on to different teachers. And I'm like, all right, I don't even need to know your name anymore. You're just a face that I don't remember. Boy, it sounds so childish. But when you teach kids, you sometimes become childish. So the tutoring is done. I will admit it wasn't all bad. There weren't things I'll miss. I miss seeing the students improve, some of the writing examples, asking a question and they know the difference between an adverb and just like a preposition. You'd think, out of all things, for a third grader, the difference between an adverb and a preposition can be tough. Maybe for even some adults. But moving on to part 2. So why not even pursue teaching anymore? Well, I mean, in this day and age, do we have to ask? The people that do it there's your heroes. That sounds so cliche, but really, I mean, those are the people that wow, I admire what you do, and I respect it, but it's not for me. It might be someday. I don't write things off forever, but for now, nah, it's not for me. And the main reason, there was just not a lot of jobs. I really wasn't finding it. Was like, I'm breaking up with you. We're never together. Is that type of thing. Yeah, I didn't have a teaching job. A few applications here and there, a little bit of follow up, but in the general, for the most part, if you don't have experience or if you don't have experience, it's a big thing. If you don't have your credential, it's a big thing. And I thought about going back to school for the credential, but I thought, this is silly. I don't want to teach high school or below. I want to teach college. So, and in college, you really need a master's or a PhD, which you get a master's. So I figured, why do I want to work on a credential? So there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and I thought, well, I can get the credential, I can teach high school for a while, and then make the leap. But I thought, I don't know. Is that really what I want? I'm like, nah, a little. It's not to say I didn't try. I did email the university I studied at for 9 years. I had a professor there that was really cool, and she always replied, and we kept in touch. It was like my thesis professor, my main professor, but she had left the university, retired, moved back to another state. And then the other people there I'd taken classes with, it had been so long. It was like 2009, and 8 years later, 7 or 8 years later, I wasn't getting any responses, maybe 1 or 2 at the beginning, but after a while, it's like I didn't even get an email response after a while. And I understand there's a few reasons for that. The first one, they just have too many students. I mean, you teach, I don't know, how many, 25 at a time or so, on average, maybe. 4 classes, so 100 a quarter, maybe, 3 quarters a year, so, I don't know, 300 a year. I mean, times 24... I mean, yeah, you start adding up. There's a lot of students. You can't be. I understand they can't be fielding emails from all these past students from 8 years prior. So I don't hold that against them. It's just a matter of there's just so much time in the day. For me, I wouldn't want to do that. It's like, you have my class 7 years ago. I can't help you now. And the other thing was, there's just not enough time. It's kind of related, but there's just not enough time to sit there and have these conversations or like try and find out. They'll just say when I did get a response, it was just like just go to the university and check out. But there was just not really a lot of help. And again, there might be not a lot of jobs, so how can they help? There's nothing we can do for you. And the third thing, I think it was important for me to consider that our business arrangement was done. I paid them, wrote checks. They gave me I got to take the classes. They gave me a diploma. So our business arrangement, shake hands, we are done. We've completed our transaction. So to kind of expect years later that they're going to, keep offering, giving me favors and stuff like that. It's like, I think for their end, we're done. We had a deal, and the purchase is complete. It's like going to Safeway and buying some Coke, and then you pay the money, you get the Coke, we're done. Safeway doesn't owe any favors at this point. I don't owe Safeway any favors at this point. We had a transaction. It's completed. I did keep this in mind when I started getting the alumni sort of solicitations for money. It's like, do you want to contribute to the college or pay money? Nasty rule number 3. We are done. We had our arrangement. I paid you money before. You gave me the degree, and now... that sounds like sour grapes. In a way, it kind of is, but it's just like, we're done. We had our arrangement. I think I still do think I can, when I can help them, I probably will, but it won't be if I just give you money. It was like, I think scholarships are great because you can actually pick and choose the program that you think is most beneficial, and you have some say. If you're donating the money, I think you should have some say in where the money goes. So it's not just like, let's throw parties for the faculty. Yeah, that's why I like the idea of scholarships. So then I can kind of direct the money. I'm not saying all majors are not equal. I'm saying I don't think all majors are equal. That's how I feel. Sometimes money gets wasted, but that's a side topic. Let's get back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about? So we're done. So we've completed the transaction. Now, finally, I could keep going. I could keep trying, but it's been, I left my full-time tech job 2 years ago. So, yeah, at this point, you kind of have to realize what you're capable of doing and what you're going to actually do. For me, I figured, I don't think there's a future in it. I don't think for me right now. Again, right now, it could change. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a teaching job at university tomorrow. Probably not going to happen, but probably not after the videos like this. Come on. Yeah. And some of the reasons that I think about is that, well, financially, it depends where you live, too. That if you live in the Bay Area, you're going to need some money to survive, and then teaching doesn't pay that level of money. I'm not a socialist to any, well, I wouldn't say I would not know to degree, but I'm really more of a capitalist. So it's like, supply and demand. I think there's a great value to teaching, and a huge part of a person's life. A great teacher can just mold a student almost to a scary degree. But I also think there is capitalism. There's supply and demand, and we can have arguments all the time, but that's the nice thing about supply and demand economics is like whether you argue or not, it's pretty much going to, unless you pass crazy laws, it's pretty much going to work itself out. And I think it does go there's just not a huge demand. There's a lot of people graduating, a lot of people major in education, and that is good, but it also makes it so the supply is, again, economics outweighing the demand. So it has been tough to find any teaching jobs. I did have one that got pretty close, a couple round of interviews, but then was not even hired for that. It's like a summer teaching job at some high school, but they didn't respond. I had to email them saying, hey, did I offend you? Why didn't you respond? Oh, we're so sorry. Yeah. If someone comes out for 2 interviews, you better well respond to them and tell them that they're not hired. You don't tell me why. You just have to at least have the courtesy, the common courtesy to do that. And there is more, a little bit more. Again, I'm kind of a traditionalist as well. And I know for teaching, you kind of got to go along with the what's popular at the time. We have these trends that kind of go through. So if you're at a public school, you kind of got to acquiesce to public opinion or whatever's trending. So you might have your own viewpoints on how, especially grammar or pronouns or things like that, and you really can't go with that. You have to kind of go with, like, here's here's the curriculum, here's the agenda, and if you try and go against that, you do not have a say. Which, pros and cons, I can understand. Well, maybe we should go with like what the majority wants. It's a complicated thing, but you also want the individuality of the teacher to come across too. So it's a very complicated thing, whole different argument. But for me, I really didn't want to get into that. I like my pronouns the way they are, and in some ways, and I don't like to offend people or make people feel excluded, but in some ways I think sometimes we do have this tendency to go do massive change based on the needs of the few versus the needs of the many, and you get to the East Coast philosophy where it's the group mentality to an extreme, but in some ways we got to do what's best for everybody here and not try and cater to a small amount when it's possible. Again, this is a very complicated, nuanced thing. So, but if you're teaching, that it comes up, so that's an important thing to consider for anyone wanting to be a teacher. And there's a lot of, again, going back to the people that do it for a living, it can be a rewarding thing. I know a lot of people that it is a rewarding thing, and there's a joy in it, and a satisfaction in it. For me, there's a satisfaction in the other stuff too, the tech side. I enjoy tech. It's not like I hated doing it, and if I want to do something that I like, or something that I like, and one side is going to, just pay a lot more, or be a lot more financially rewarding, then it's something to think about. Now, if I really love teaching and really didn't like tech, and tech paid a lot more, I have to think about, it doesn't matter, but the money doesn't matter. But when those things are equal, then why not go with, I think this is not rocket science. I think it makes sense. But the final thing, I was like watching somebody else's like posting about being a teacher, a high school teacher of all things. That was like the ones like a public high school where we sometimes don't, whatever it is, other countries sometimes got us beat, and the respect they give the teachers. And here it's like someone going through like all this almost traumatic stuff from the students. It's just like, how do we get to that point where the students are kind of doing that much damage? It's like, if stories like that, it sucks to see, because you think people read about that, you're not going to have any high school teachers left unless we really start cracking down on good parenting leading to good students, and like let's focus on getting better students instead of getting better teachers, because I think that the teachers do a pretty good job overall. So, and this isn't anything new. I mean, even when I was in high school, I saw a lot of people abusing this teachers, and I thought, how is this allowed? Why? How did it come to this? But flash forward a long time later, and we still have things to work on. All right, but anyway, I think I explained that. Hopefully the setup's okay. I'm trying not to go too crazy on bringing out the lights and cameras and green screen and stuff, because sometimes I just want to get an episode done and not worry about it. So, it's a long episode. Sorry about that, but what else are you going to do, right? All right, that's it. Peace.